Hi guys. Um, for a lot of people, company is more important than truth. So I'm in company, and therefore I'm not alone, but I'm actually denying lots of parts of myself, right? And I just figured I'd rather be alone and in truth than in company but in denial of a lot of things, or in company and me explaining myself all the time, explaining my truth, explaining and overly expressing myself constantly to be heard, seen, and understood. It takes a lot of energy to be in company and maybe not alone, but using your energy to explaining yourself and expressing yourself and trying to be understood takes so much energy from you that it takes eventually away from the fact that you're not alone, um, and shows you in the end that you're still lonely because you are around people who don't get you. I'm in a situation in my life where I'm constantly explaining to people, to doctors, to family members, that I'm not insane. I did that for 2 months and I'm done. I'm so exhausted. I'm so exhausted to tell people that there's no reason for me to be mentally ill, which is, and of course, my psyche suffered a lot in the last 2 months because I was seeking and looking for help everywhere, and people doctors either asked me for no apparent reason if I would hear voices, or personal questions that have had nothing to do with my symptoms. And I've been going to therapy for the last couple of years, successfully, where I share openly fears and issues. There was no certain happening that would have been reason for a strong mental health issue from one moment to the other that has severe physical symptoms. So I've been explaining that to people, and I figured that being in company, when you're not in the right company, you're maybe not alone, but you're still lonely. And that's a decision everyone has to make on their own. Like, a lot of people prefer company over truth. And maybe a lot of people also live in company and in truth, which is amazing. But if you live in company and you're not alone, but you're constantly explaining yourself, you're constantly, maybe you're being judged, maybe you're constantly trying to get your point across, maybe you constantly have to explain why you do things, why you say things, aren't you aware of how terribly exhausting that is? And haven't you thought of leaving those people behind or walking away? And haven't you thought of, oh, maybe I'm alone then? But if you fully accept alone time and see it, how precious and healthy it can be, and how it can turn into quality time, and how it can turn to hearing yourself. You've been explaining yourself to other people over and over and over again. If you are alone, you don't have to do that. You're there like, oh, this is my opinion about that, and the other person goes like, which is also you, goes like, yeah, makes sense, right? There's so much peace in being alone and not needing to justify, explain, overly trying to get your point across. And that's a choice everyone has to make on their own, what's more important to them. There's no right or wrong. But equally, if we keep spending time with people who don't see us, what's the point in being with those people? What's the point in spending time with them when we cannot talk about the truth, or we cannot talk about what's really going on, or we cannot talk about what really matters because you don't get me and I'm overly explaining myself and I'm losing energy? So maybe at a certain point I hold resentment, and I'm judging you, and I'm getting angry, and I'm getting frustrated, and I'm starting to hate you, and then I still spend time with you, and you don't get me, and I don't get why you don't get me, and we're still together. What's the point? And alone time with not where you don't judge yourself and where you don't have to explain yourself is the most healing, precious, nurturing thing ever. And it's up to everyone, but a lot of people choose company over truth. I see it every day.